Okay, shalom, everybody. Shalom, everybody. Hallelujah. Shalom. So, of course, we're dealing with the 12 tribes. All right, we're dealing with the 12 tribes of Allah. All right. Now, yesterday we went into some of the tribes of Israel, and we got to see exactly who is who. And if you were with me yesterday, you were with me yesterday. You with me yesterday, Kazakhwaya. You know how the Facebook kept cutting off when I was going between different screens. So right now I'm gonna just show you the screen from the Google, on my Google broadcast. And if you want to see that, you can just go to Banya Yasharala on Facebook, on YouTube rather, and you can get the live broadcast like that. All right, Hezekiah and Kiotarias. Arturo Varela, what's going on? Shalom. Pascal Dodamani, how you doing, man? All the way, brother, calling from tuning in from Gujarat. Gujarat. All right. So once again, y'all, so we're dealing with these tribes of Israel. Okay, we're dealing with the tribes of Israel, the children of Israel. I remember, I got to make the announcements for you, so pay attention. The next new moon is January 5th to January 6th, sunset to sunset. Okay? Now, the next Passover is going to be on April 18th to April 19th, sunset to sunset is the first day. The last day is April 24th to April 25th, sunset to sunset. That's the last day. So if you got a job, you got to make sure you have those days off. All right. From the night of January 5th to nighttime January 6th, you can't work. From the night of April 18th to April 19th, you can't work. It's the holy day. First day of Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. And from the night of April 24th to the night of April 25th, you cannot work. It's a holy day. Es un día santo cuando vamos a celebrar como la salida de nuestros antepasados de la tierra de Egipto, de los israelitas cuando salimos de Egipto, de la cautividad, de esclavitud, bajo de los jamitas, de los africanos étnicos, porque nosotros somos las ovejas perdidas, ya conocidas de la casa de Israel, las 12 tribus de Israel, y tenemos que observar, guardar, hacer y respetar nuestros días santos según la Biblia. Según la Biblia, tenemos que adorar el Altísimo en la manera que Él dice, no en la manera que nosotros decimos o decidimos, pero la manera que Él dice. So we have to worship Yahweh the way that He said to worship Him, not in a way that we think or we want, but only as He says. Okay? All right, so Yahweh is the Most High God Almighty. Yahweh Shai is His Son. Yahweh Shai is the Son of the Most High Power, Yahweh. All right? The people that are in the Americas, the first people, the indigenous people, los indígenas in las Americas, North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean are the 12 tribes of Israel. And the people that came here, tiene que quitar las medias y va a poner las chancletas. Tiene que quitar las medias, quitar las medias. ¿Ok? Y los morenos que llegaron en esclavitud también, y los morenos que llegaron antes de Los europeos son israelitas, the blacks, the brown people that came in slavery and that were here before slavery out of 12 tribes of Israel. All right. So, claro, of course, right now, today, we're talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. And we have different versions that we can look at and get, pretty much the same conclusions of these tribes. All right. So today, what tribe are we starting with? We're going to start with the tribe of Gad. Today, we're going to start with the tribe of Gad. Okay. We're going to start with the tribe of Gad, which is one of the tribes of Israel. Now, Gad is a tribe, as you see here, of Israel. Okay. Gad is a tribe of Israel. And once again, the Israelite people are those people that are indigenous to the Americas, the first people in the Americas and the Caribbean Sea. Those brown and black people that were here first and the ones that came on slave ships. That's the focus of this prophecy. Because Jacob, our father, when we go up into verse 1 of Genesis 49, this all takes place around what? You see that? Him telling his sons to what? Assemble yourselves. All right, to gather the sons together. So he's talking about the sons being gathered together. And excuse me if I was talking real loud because it seems like there's always a lot of noise in this building. So it's like I always have to talk loud. So I'm gonna try to lower my voice a little bit. All right, so he's talking to his children in the last days. And he's talking to his son saying, yo, get together about this these conditions that I'm about to tell you about of what's gonna happen to you. All right. So of course we're gonna start with the tribe of Gad. Now it says Gad, a troop shall troop upon him, but he shall troop upon their heel. All right. He shall troop upon their heel. And once again, when I'm talking to you about the Torah, the Most High Yahweh humbled my spirit to allow me the job title to be an elder under my people and over my people, subject to my people and taking the oversight for my people also. And you can only do that thoroughly if you understand and walk in the Torah. So any brother out there that's trying to teach a breakdown, that was taught a breakdown outside of the context of the Torah, you need to re-examine whatever it is that you have. Because we're going to be judged by the Torah. We're not going to be judged on different breakdown things. Now, okay, Hezekiah, I don't know if you'll be able to comment on YouTube because I'm not doing I'm technically on the Hangouts. So you'll be able to see it, but you might not be able to comment. So you might want to switch back over here if you want to make a comment, man. But the YouTube is still broadcasting. You can still hit that live from over on YouTube, but you might not be able to comment. If you comment, it's going to be in the general video comment section because I can't see the live feed. This is what you see on your screen right now is exactly what I see when I pull up the Google Hangouts. I don't see the real screen. I don't see the comments and everything. This is exactly what you see, exactly what I see. Only reason I came to broadcast from Google is because I can get all of my different screens and I can switch back and forth a lot easier using Google as the base than I can just using Facebook as the base. So anyway, when you're looking at your different breakdowns about who's who and where they are and what tribe is this and what law is this and what about the Gentiles and what about Esau and what about Ruth and what about fringes and what about tunics and what about Gedalium or what about tzitzis and what about crab and pork and lobster and what about church on Sunday? What about Christmas? And what about Thanksgiving? And what about, you know, when a woman has her cycle? If you, whatever breakdown you have doesn't come with an understanding of the Torah, then you got to take it and reprocess it through the Torah. That's something that I want everybody to understand. So as I'm teaching these classes about the Torah, I'm saying that the foundation of everything you believe in has to be based on the Torah. All right, has to be based on the Torah. No matter if it's about that's why I believe that the crescent moon is not the correct new moon. Because I can't see that in the Torah. I can't see that concept of a little bit of light and a lot of darkness being the beginning of a counting period. I don't see that in the Torah. That's why I don't believe that the Sabbath is counted by the moon, because I don't see that in the Torah. I see evening and morning as 2 days, as 2 parts of 1 day being taught inside the Torah, and I see 7 days being taught. That's why I don't really subscribe to the crescent new moon, or subscribe to the Sabbath being counted according to the new moon, because that is simply not taught to us in the Torah, flat out. All right, you can't show that from the Torah, and you can't show that from time. All right, you can't show that from how the Most High. We have the moon, the sun, the constellations, darkness and light, all inside the first, and the stars, all in Genesis chapter 1. All right, so we're still in Genesis, and I taught the Torah from Genesis, and you can go back and look at the videos on this page or from Banya Yasharallah on Facebook, and you can see from on YouTube rather, and you can see from Genesis chapter 1, we've been teaching the same consistent concepts and theories that have been proven, all right, from the Torah. I know you thought you caught me slipping by saying theory, but when you have a theory and you think something and you go in the Torah and you prove it, it ain't a theory no more. It's a fact. It's a reality. It's law. It's universal, and it can't be changed. All right, can't be changed. All right, so what we want to do right now is, once again, let's go into the Torah. And now this is my tribe, if anybody out there is wondering. My father, when I first came into the knowledge of the truth in January 1994, of my people, the blacks and the Hispanic Latinos being one nation of Israel. I was taught, me and my father were coming back from college. I was at Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio, Ohio, outside Xenia, which is outside of Dayton. All right, so it's a small town outside of a small town. All right, so I was there, and me and my father came to get me from college, and we stopped at a rest stop. I said, yeah, man, you know, we the Israelites, and we the tribe of Judah, the blacks in America. They the real Israelites, and so on and so forth. You know, we the chosen people of the Most High. You know, and my father, you know, we were sitting at like a little picnic table or something. And my father said, well, my grandfather, your father's father, they wasn't black, man. So you're not Judah. He said they were Indian. You know, he said my grandfather, man, wasn't mixed, you know, with no white people. They was just straight up Native American, and used to, you know, he told me how he looked and what his characteristics were and what he used to do. And everybody knew that he was, you know, he was a quote unquote Indian. Quote unquote Indian. That's what he said. So even though we may look a certain way, our ancestors did not look the way that we look now. Right? Our ancestors had a different look than I have now, you know, as a member of this particular tribe, the tribe of Gad. All right, which is this tribe right here. Now, what I want to do is, hopefully you can see, let me see what happens if I go to the Hebrew. I hope that shows up clear on your screen. It may not show up clear on your screen, so I might have to just, you know, show the English versions of everything because the let me try something real quick. Let me try this Google screen. Let me see. Nah, it's not gonna let me increase the screen size. All right, so there goes that idea. All right, so can you see this Hebrew right here? Can y'all see the Hebrew? I'm not sure if you can see the Hebrew, but we're going to the interlinear. And if you can't see it, I'm sorry if you can't see it, you know, but I'm sorry if you can't see it. But I want to show you the Hebrew. And it seems like the more you have added on to the Hebrew, the more letters, the bigger it gets. All right. So when you look at verse 19, it says God, which comes from the word gadad, which means a lot or a crowd. All right. It says God, Gadwad, all right, which means it's taking the word Gad and making it into another noun, which means that like it says, a troop. Okay. A troop, Ya Gawad Nawa. All right. A troop will gad us. That's what I see it as. Now somebody else might say, oh, it means you. All right. But it says let's say it means overcome. Let's do it right here. So it says Gad. Well, actually, let's go back here. Let me finish what I started first. So it says Gad, a Gad, he will gad. Okay, and he, all right, Wahawa, and he will gad he gads Iquab at the hill. So Iquab, he gads at the hill. All right. So I want to point some things out about this from the interlinear. And once again, I really hope that you can see this in the English. Okay, hallelujah, the water for sharing it, Hezekiah. Appreciate it out. All right, now I really want y'all to pay attention, you know, to this Hebrew. All right, because the Most High, he's showing us something right here. He's showing us something. Okay. The Most High is showing us something with the Hebrew. All right. So, man, let me, you know what? I don't like how small this is on your screen. If you want a phone, turn your phone sideways and you might be able to see it a little bigger. So if you want a phone, turn your phone sideways. All right. Now this says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but him shall overcome at the last. Now let's see if we can find a translation that. Okay, now this is a good one. Let's use this one because this kind of flows with how the Hebrew wording of it is. And also, if we look at this, the Peshitta, which is the Aramaic, which is going to be closer to your pure Targum text. Pure Targum meaning without interjected commentaries. All right, it says, Gad shall go out to raid and shall pursue at the hills of his enemy. We could take that too. We could take that. But the literal translation, Gad, a troop assaulted him, but he. Now there's a literal. There's another literal translation. You know what? We're just getting hit with some distraction techniques, y'all. So let's just jump right into it, man. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so now when it says Gad, everybody sees that where it says Gad right here. The word Gad means a large number of people. All right. When our mother was giving birth to Gad, she said it feels like a troop is coming. It feels like a large number of people, you know, are coming. All right. Now, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and it's gonna let me click on this. I'm gonna show you they excess. So it says Gad, a large number. Remember, Gad means a large number. A troop, which is the word says Gad again in the Hebrew. All right, the root word is Gad. So it says Gad, a troop shall troop upon him, but he shall troop upon their hill. All right. So it says Gad. All right. A large number of people is going to outnumber you. So a troop is the military troop. And then that military troop was slaughtering the Gadites, in the plains, Oklahoma, Texas, North and South Dakota. All right. Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Massachusetts, okay, New Hampshire, Maine, New York. All these areas were Gadite cities, Gadite areas where our people were living. Okay. Okay, sorry, Hezekiah. I just put back to the English, so hopefully everybody's on the English now. So we were all in those areas. All right. And what happened is the Europeans, he sent his team of soldiers, a large number of company, F troop, E troop, B troop. He sent his soldiers in. And from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, all the way over to the Pacific Ocean, those troops, those military forces would outnumber us. They had more arrows, in other words, more projectiles, more bullets when they made the Gatling gun. So the longest military operation that any conquering nation has had in the Western Hemisphere was the so-called white man against the tribe of Gad. The so-called white man against the North American Indians, which is the tribe of Gad. And that's why it says that a troop is going to troop him. A troop is going to overcome Gad. All right. And that's why it says Gad, a troop shall troop him. So Gad was called what? Gad was called 500 nations when the so-called white man came into the Americas. 500 nations is what he said. Okay. He said this is 500 nations, 500 different groups of people, because even though they were the same people, they had different languages. All right. They had different languages. They had different cultures, different practices. Some stuff was the same. Some things were different. Some things were different. Some things, were the same. So now what we're looking at is that for Gad, the troop that overcame them was the so-called European, the children of Esau, the children of Edom. In warfare, he was able to conquer the Gadites. In war, in bloodshed, with weapons. And they got the victory only when they either tried to trick us or when they invented the Gatling gun, which is a high-powered, multi-round shooting machine gun that you used to crank. And then as you crank, the gun barrels would rotate in a circle, shooting out bullets every time. Bam, 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 bam. And that's how they would attack the tribe of Gad. So it says, Gad, a troop shall troop him. But he, talking about Gad, shall troop upon their heels, meaning at the last. Now, this is a two-part prophecy about the tribe of Gad. All right. Number one is saying that Gad at the end of the day is going to win. Because remember, the prophecy is that Jacob is going to grab the what? The Iquab, the heel of his brother. When Jacob was born, he was grabbing the heel of his brother. You can see that in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verses 8 and 9. Tells you that plainly. Again, that's 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verses 8 and 9. It tells you plainly that the tribe of Gad, the Israelites, and the other tribes are going to pull down Esau, his brother. They're going to pull Esau down from the time when they were first born. Once again, that's 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 8 and 9. If somebody got that, somebody get that and paste it into the comments, please, so people can see it for themselves. So now, the first part of that is saying that Gad is going to conquer. The second part of it is telling you that a Gad, a troop, is going to be on their hill. Meaning what? Walking. Meaning that they're going to be on a walk as a large number of people. All right. So it says he will crowd. Then they said this means attack in this particular way. So once again, what I like about the strong, what I like, and not the strong, but I like about the Esau is that you can click on a word in the Hebrew and it shows you where that word is used at in other words. So it says, when he cometh up unto the people, he will invade. So that's how they got that word right there, invade. So Gad is going to get the victory at the last. Gad is going to get the victory when everything is said and done. We're going to get the victory because we're going to outnumber with our other brothers and sisters in warfare, outnumber spiritually the so-called white man that's conquered us and raped us, robbed us, and murdered us since he first came over here in the 1400s. And when he started to take over Jerusalem under the Greeks, then under the Romans, and then when we got invaded by the Greeks, the same people that invaded Rome are the same people that invaded America. Think about that. And you want to say that the Arabs, man, if the Arabs, listen to this, if the Arabs were the people of Edom, it would be a blessing for us. Why? Because the Arabs, their time of oppressing us was in and out and short. It's the so-called white man that the Bible prophesies about in the book of Psalms, chapter 137. In the dead Jerusalem, who said, raise it to the foundation thereof. So the so-called white man from the time of the Greeks to 1 Maccabees chapter 1, 2 Maccabees, the book of Daniel, the prophecies in Daniel chapter 8, verse 21, going into Alexander the Greek. All of these things point to the so-called European white man. So the same white people under the Greek Empire and the same white people that conquered America have been murdering, chasing, and killing the chosen of Israel from day one. The same people. The same people from day one have been doing this evil against the children of Israel. It's not another group of people that's been doing this evil against us. It's the same European person. The same European family has been doing all this evil against the children of Israel. The same man. So when people want to talk about, oh, it's the Arabs that are the children of Esau and Edom and not the white man, why? Why isn't it? Because when we look in the Torah and the prophecy, we see that the so-called white man is the one that's been doing these evil things against us from the beginning of us coming out of Egypt. When the children of Esau and Edom were behind us, and when they killed and murdered the weaker ones among the children of Israel, came up from the back. So the Bible says that a troop is going to outnumber the tribe of Gad. And we've been reduced to small numbers in North America through the white man's murdering of our people. But this prophecy where it says Gad is going to troop at the hill, where he says Gad is going to troop at the hill, means number one, that we were going to conquer at the last, as we see in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 8 and 9. But before we conquer them at the end, this is a literal translation. Why? Because there was a greater number of Gadites being led from North Carolina through Georgia, through Alabama, through Mississippi, all the way over to Oklahoma on what was called what? Like the brother Hezekiah said, the Trail of Tears. So a large number, which is what a troop is, a large number on the hills walking behind the so-called white soldiers that were leading us to a state called Oklahoma. And once we got there, they stole that land from us too. They said, this is your state. And then they came back and stole it from us. Now, if that's not the acts and the works of the devil, I don't know who and what is. So there's no other nation, there's no other ethnic group of people that happened to. It's called the Trail of Tears. And he came in with his troop, F troop, and finished the job off with us and murdered us, killed us off. And a lot of us survived. And when we survived, of course, we married in with other tribes, other people. And that kind of changed the look of some of the Gadites. But then some of the Gadites kept the typical look that their forefathers had. Okay. Yeah, and then, like your brother said, the smallpox blankets that they would give us, they give us blankets with diseases in them to destroy us, make us sick. Chemical warfare. These are well-documented incidents. So they always would use the military to do this stuff, a large number, a troop. One of the words for troop, one of the translations is marauders. Let's look at this in different translations. Okay. This one says, a plundering troop shall plunder him, but he shall plunder him, pursuing him closely. The Geneva Bible from 1587 says, a host of men shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. And the Aramaic says, Gad shall go out to raid and shall pursue at the heels of his enemies. So if you look at all of these translations, what do they have in common? All of them deal with warfare. All of them deal with aggression. All of them deal with confrontation. The so-called North American Indians, our whole culture, one of the main aspects of our culture was warfare. War was sacred to us. War was sacred. You had to be on a high spiritual level before you went out to go to war. We had special little things we would wear in war, special garments we would wear. We couldn't deal with our women before we went to war, just like we read about in the Bible with the Israelites. So the tribe of Gad is talking about the so-called North American Indians. That's who it's talking about. All right. So they gave all these gifts to us, like you said, a gift destroys the heart. They gave all these gifts to us. All right. All these things and make us, feel like they were compensating us for the theft that they were doing. And we were destroyed. So Gad, a troop shall troop upon him. So a large number of people is going to overcome and outnumber us. When it came to the Americans, they said we was the land of 500 nations. We had cities. We had monuments. We had landmarks. We had houses built. We had hunting grounds that different tribes would go to. So it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him. A troop shall troop upon him. And that trooped upon Gad is the U.S. government, the military. And now Gad is outnumbered in his own land. Gad is outnumbered. He used his military to destroy Gad. But he shall troop at their hill. So Gad at the end is going to pull down Esau that conquered him. And also, literally, Gad was walking behind the hill of those white soldiers that were leading them in the Trail of Tears. All right, so that's the understanding of Gad. Okay, that's understanding of Gad. All right, and which is the so-called North American Indians. All right. Now, I hope that this broadcast doesn't stop. I'm gonna try to change something real quick. I want to show a picture of a Gadite. All right. I want to show a picture of a Gadite. I hope it all right, so let me pull it up. All right, so now right here, let me go into Google real quick. All right. And I want to gotta stop the camera for a minute. And I gotta go into change the tab. And I want to go into and show you a picture of a Gadite. All right, so now it's gonna help me tell me what I want to go to. I want to go to application window. All right. Go to application window. Hold up, give me a second. Hope y'all still with me on Facebook. I see you still there, Facebook. Okay. Now I'm gonna switch to right here. Can y'all see that right there? Okay, yeah, I guess Facebook should be able to see that. No, you can't see it yet. Let me pull it up. Application window right here. Okay, now. If you can see this picture, this is a Gadite. Right? This is what the tribe of Gad looks like. If you can see that picture. This is the tribe of Gad. Right? This is the tribe of Gad. Let me go back over here, y'all. Give me some trouble. Bear with me. Let me pull it up. All right, so I gotta keep it over here. All right. So y'all should be able to see that now. This is a Gadite. And this particular Gadite is this is my own grandfather right here. You know, and of course, once he moved up to I believe once he moved up to New York from South Carolina, I believe he cut his hair. You know, his hair was a lot longer. And he cut it when he came into the into New York, when he moved up to New York, or in preparation of that trip to New York, he cut his hair. But this is the tribe of Gad that the so-called white man was murdering when he first came over to America. This is the tribe of Gad. The tribe of Gad looks like. Now, of course, now we got different looks. Tribe of Gad looks different now. Some of them look lighter. Some of them look darker. But the general, you know, the general features, you know, are still the same. You know, the nose and the hair, you know, typically the Gadites will have maybe a straighter nose, more pronounced bridge on their nose. You know, it may have straighter hair. You know, and when it's cut short, it's real wavy naturally. Of course, this hair, you know, got cut short, but just showing you that this is what the tribe of Gad looks like. That's what the tribe of Gad looks like. All right. That's the tribe of Gad. All right. So now when we go from there, let's go back into the application window. Get back to that e-sword now. Okay. Get back to the e-sword. All right, so we back on the e-sword now. All right. So once again, that's my blood grandfather. We talking 2 generations back. All right. That's how Gad was looking. All right. So now we see that, okay, when we're talking about Gad, what does it say? It says, a troop shall troop him, but he shall troop at their heel. Once again, in North American Indians, Trail of Tears, dealing with marching, walking, the hill, being led by the soldiers. The large group of Gad, the troop, was at the heel of the so-called white man. But we know also, trooping upon him, what we did right here, the large number of Gadites walking behind him, we know that this is also a prophecy about us being able to destroy his empire and pull him down. Okay. All right. So the brother said he got some pictures from the early 1800s of the Gadites. Yeah, put them on up. Share them with us. Now, verse 20. Verse 20. It says, Asher, as for Asher, his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainty. And if you're looking at your King James, it says, out of Asher, his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. And if we go into the Peshitta, okay, it says, Asher, his land is good, and he shall supply kings with food. All right, so we got different translations. All right, but it says of Asher, Shamyana or Shamana, which is oil. Lakamwa, oil is his bread. All right. Wahawa'a, and he, Yatan, gives Ma'aidanya, delicacies or pleasures. Delicacies, pleasures. It says malak of a king. gives pleasures or delicacies of a king. The Hebrew does it a lot more justice. Now, the JPS does a good job at translating this. But let's break this down. Let's break this down. What is it talking about with Asher? Asher. First of all, Asher means happy. So Asher is a happy people. Kind of carefree. All right. Asher is going to be the people, the indigenous people and the black people that came to slavery inside of Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay, and then parts of Guyana, French Guyana, and Suriname. That's Asher. Okay? So it says, Asher, his bed shall be fat. The Hebrew word here for fat, let's break it down. His bread shall be fat. All right. That word for fat is oil, but it is translated as fat in other scriptures, meaning being able to sustain himself with what's his. So in South America, when you go into the jungles, you can sustain yourself on just what you find in the jungles. That's one fulfillment of this prophecy. All right. His bread shall be fat, meaning also what? The largest oil reserves in the world altogether are in South America. Not in Asia, not in Saudi Arabia, but in South America. I'm talking about reserves. I'm not talking about production. I'm talking about accessible or just natural reserves of oil, which in Hebrew here is shaman. So I like to interlinear. All right. It's shaman. Hebrew for oil right there, or fat is a word that means oil. All right. So that word fat right there, shamana, greasy, gross, fat, lusty, plenteous. There's a lot of bread. Bread is made from what? What you would consider to be the word grain. The word what you would be considered called to call grain. Now, let's look at this thing. All right, you ever had potato pancakes? Potato pancakes, potatoes were cultivated first in South America by Asher. Have you ever had cassava bread? Cassava, cassava bread. That was first cultivated by the cassava, also known as the yucca, in South America. That's where it comes from. Have you ever had quinoa? Quinoa is made into a bread, is made into a ball, and they eat it. The soldiers would eat it to maintain high levels of energy with a little bit of food intake, and it's released slowly into the body, so it gives you energy for a long time. Quinoa. Quinoa. That's how now Asher's bread is fat. The agricultural products that he produced are literally feeding the world right now. The yam, the sweet potato, the cassava, the potato. Those were all cultivated by Asher. So Asher's bread, representing food, shall be fat, meaning flourishing, excessive, and sustaining. You eat 1-2 potatoes, man, you full. 2 potatoes, full. So just from the potatoes, you full from Asher's food. Asher's the one that cultivated these things in South America. Once again, the sweet potato, all right, the yam, the cassava, which is yucca, all right. It was Asher that did all of these things, cultivating them in South America. Quinoa, power grain, South America. Asher did that. The local white man came into South America, and then he took the sweet potato, the yam, and the cassava, the yucca, into Africa. And that's how Africa got those grains, because they took them from Asher. And you also have some of Asher still living in places like Angola, maybe Congo, but Angola for sure. Portuguese taking slaves back and forth between Angola and Brazil. So that's how Asher's bread is fat. And also, once again, remember, when we talking about Asher's bread being fat, remember, we also are talking about what? We also are talking about the natural resource of what? Of oil, because the Hebrew word right here for fat is what? Is oil. So how did Venezuela sustain themselves? And what caused their collapse? It was the fat. It was the oil, the shamana, the shaman, the oil, which is what, again, what we say in the Hebrew. All right. Nakam, okay, that's a serpent. Okay. The oil. So Asher, Ma'ashad, once again, let's break this word, show you how it's used in other parts of the Bible. All right. It's used to say lusty, fat, lusty meaning desirable. All right. Plenteous, fat. So his bread shall be fat, okay. Also meaning fat as an excessive and desirable. All right. So his bread is desirable. His bread is excessive. It's sustaining. And that's how Asher fulfills that prophecy about the bread. Literally, it says bread in Hebrew. That's the Hebrew word. It's lacham. And literally, it says fat, shaman or shamana, which is going to be more fat as opposed to oil. But also, we know that have literal oil. Literally, we have oil or shaman, shamana, which is the root word for shamana, in South America. The largest oil deposits in the world are found in South America. Every country down there has oil. Bolivia, Ecuador, even into Argentina, they got oil too. Brazil, every country down there has oil that they work and produce. A lot of them for domestic use, and they export some of it. But Venezuela was a large producer of oil. So much that there was times when a gallon of oil in Venezuela was 8 cents, 18 cents, under $1. I'm talking about in the 2000s, man. 25 cents for a gallon of gas, 18 cents for a gallon of gas in Venezuela. That's what they were charging their people. So Asher's bread is fat, or is oil, or is desirable, is excessive in that way. The resources and the soil, the mineral, the gas that they have, the oil that they have in the dirt, in the soil, under the ground, as well as the produce that they make from the ground also, that is now feeding the whole world. You can't go into one country in the world and not have a potato, not have a yam, not have a yucca, all right, not have a sweet potato or cassava. And then quinoa was the high-powered food. Now, the last part, which we read about, and he shall yield royal dainties. Royal dainties, or he shall yield the pleasant things of a king, is what the Hebrew said. He shall give. Let's look at the Hebrew once again. Right here it says yatan, which means and he gives. They got shall yield. Yatan, okay, ma aidanya. He gives of the pleasant things. Malak, the pleasant things of the king. All right. So now I know a lot of times people look at that and they say, well, what in the world does that mean? What does that mean? Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you what it means through the spirit of Yahweh, Ba'Shem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. I'm gonna tell you what that means. Right now, let's go back. I'm gonna go back into the JPS. Now remember, dainties is the same word Aidan, which means pleasure or pleasant. Royal, remember, it said Malak, which means king. Give. So how did the tribe of Asher give pleasant things of the king? How did he do that? Every year, when you look at, let's say the Inca Empire, every year the ruler would take a golden spade, little shovel, and a golden garden tools made out of gold. And the king, the ruler, the Inca, he would plant the first seeds of the quinoa, which is, the one of the main power-packed grains, power-packed on the planet Earth. Technically, I think they say it's not a grain, but you grow it, you pick the little seeds off of it, it grinds up. So, it's something scientific. They say, oh, it's not really a grain. Okay, well, it still functions and processes and is eaten as a grain. Okay. So, so when it says the royal dainties, that talks about he shall give the pleasant things of the king. And remember, it's funny because they use this in the singular. They use king in the singular. Royal, they said malak. And it says ma idanya. I believe that's what they said. Ma idanya. There might have been another suffix at the end. Ma idanya. Pleasant things of the king. Bread. So we know it's going into agriculture. This whole thing is about the soil, the dirt, production. So once again, malak. All right. It says malak of the king right here. Malak. All right. So we go back to the JPS. Now we can see what that prophecy means. So this is something that happened in South America. They would take the golden instruments from the king, and the king would take those instruments. He would take those gold instruments, those gold agricultural tools, and he would plant the first seeds of the quinoa season. And that quinoa was used to sustain the whole population in South America. The army would eat that quinoa. Little bit of food with the quinoa would sustain them all day because it releases slowly into your system, slow release throughout the day. And it causes you to be able to function and run. And it makes you full as you eat it. So it makes you feel full. You don't feel heavy, and it's releasing the energy throughout the day to you. So that's the royal dainty. Okay. Hope everybody got that. Hope everybody got that. Now, if you know somebody from the tribe of Naphtali, Argentina and Chile, tag this on their page. So it says Naphtali. Now, for the longest times, I would say Naphtali. But I believe that the proper pronunciation should be Naphtaliya instead of Naphtaliya. Why? Because the patal is the actual verb. Okay. The actual verb. See, it says Naphtali. The verb is The actual verb is patal. So it should be na patalia. Naphthalia instead of Naphthalia, as we say it, Naphthalia. I believe it should be pronounced Naphthalia. Okay, because this is a prefix and this is the whole verb. All right, and this is the pronoun suffix of my. All right, patal means wrestle. Napthal means wrestling. Naphthalia means my wrestling. So Naphtali is a ayala, which is a female deer. Naphthalia shalakha, let loose or released. Shalak means to send. It also means to send. Shalak means to send. It says Ha Nathan, the one giving, Amadia Shapar. All right, giving beautiful or good words. Amadia, words or sayings, good. All right. So let's break that. Well, how does that mean Naphtali? You might read this, but well, how do you get Naphtali out of that? Okay, so Naphthalia is a hind. So Naphthalia is a hind sent, let loose. All right. Now, when you release something and it's getting away and you've been holding it, it's going to go far away from you. It's not going to stay close to you. It's going to go far away from you. So where's Naphtali at? Naphtali's in the far reaches of South America, the most southern coast and the most western coast of South America. He's a deer that got let loose, so he just ran till he couldn't run no more. And that might not be enough for you to understand. So let me break it down to you like this. This is a female deer. The female deer is smaller than the male deer. A hind is a deer. Let's see if anybody else have a different let's look at the literal translation. They say beauteous young ones. And that's why, man, you really have to be looking at these different ways that they translate. And once you look at the Hebrew, you can say, okay, this is a good translation from the Hebrew. All right. All right, so we're going to just stick with the JPS and we're going to work through it. All right. Naphtali is a hind let loose. So we already went into how you let that deer go and Naphtali went, the deer ran off. A hind is a deer. Specifically, this is a female deer. It says Ayalah, this female deer. So that deer of Naphtali got let loose, got sent off. And once it got sent away, what did it do? It went into the far reaches of the Americas, all the way at the bottom of South America, and then all the way at the west of South America. Okay? So now, when you look at the territory of Naphtali, Naphtali had one of the most farthest reaching territories at the north of Israel. Manasseh was up there. But what's beautiful about Naphtali is that Naphtali is on the far reaches, all right? And he shares his western border with Asher. Just like Naphtali now shares his eastern border with Asher. Naphtali was in like the center and then went all the way down. Now, Manasseh is on his east side in ancient Israel map. But now Naphtali went and said, well, you know what? I'm going to take the southwest. So Naphtali now controls the south and the west. Yeah, they painted gold. Yeah, Hezekiah. Yeah, they had the real gold back then. So Naphtali is a hind let loose. So he left. Who's out there? And he went into South America, south all the way east, all the way west, and all the way south. Now let me give you another part of this prophecy. A deer. That's a key word in Naphtali's understanding. Naphtali's understanding is a deer. Don't you know that the world's smallest deer, the smallest deer in the world, is found where? In Argentina and Chile. Argentina and Chile. That's where the world's smallest deer is found. This thing could be like 8 inches to 15 inches. Small little tiny thing. Okay. It's called also a South Andean deer. South Andean what? South Andean deer. It's called a huemel or a huemul. Huemul. All right. South American deer. Small, tiny deer. All right. Now, if that's not enough, they have another deer called a padu. P-A-D-U. A padu. Very, very small, tiny deer. A lot of our people don't even know that this deer even exists. Now, this deer, which is a padu, is a tiny, tiny, tiny deer. And it's in South America, over in Chile and Argentina. And that word padu comes from an indigenous word, mapudungun. They call it padu or pudu actually. Mapudungun. That's a Mapuche word, Mapuche, which are the indigenous people that are down in South America. Padu, I'm sorry, pudu, P-U-D-U is how you write it, P-U-D-U. All right. P-U-D-U. Now, this is, again, the world's smallest deer. Between maybe, it may weigh 25 pounds at the most. It may be about 17 inches long, 13 inches to 17 inches long, full grown. Now they have the northern Purdue, and then they have the southern Purdue. Okay. And of course, the southern Purdue in Argentina and Chile have a higher tolerance for the heat. I mean, have a higher tolerance for the cold. Purdue, I bet they're good too. And a little small deer with that little compact deer meat. Man, I like to eat one of those. A Purdue deer. Now remember, from the Purdue, P-U-D-U, you also have the once again, you also gonna have the Huemul. Okay, and that's gonna be Huemul. Check it out. Research what I'm talking about. The Huemul. Okay. Now, I'm saying that the Huemul is the characteristic of the deer that you see right here about Naphtali being a hind. Remember, a hind is a deer. Now, this particular deer, the Huemul, they live specifically in the mountains of Argentina and Chile. Specifically live in Argentina in Chile. Very special deer. It's native to the mountains of Argentina and Chile. So the Most High put those deers over there in the territory where Napatalia was going to be staying there. They live in the Andes, cold mountains, cold mountainside and the cold valleys. All right. But this one, this one has a different kind of size. This one can be big, get up to 200 pounds for a male. All right. Now check this out though. If you look on the coat of arms for Chile, you'll see this deer, the same deer that I'm talking about on the coat of arms for Chile, the South Andean deer. So Chile, which is the tribe of Naphtali, they put a deer, on their flag. And that deer is a South Andean deer that is only in the South Andes in Argentina and Chile, no place else in the world. So that deer did exactly what Naphtali did. That deer went to the furthest south and the furthest west part of the new land where the children of Israel were. That's what he did. Far, far away. Far, far away. Look it up. And once again, a lot of time I'll give the information, but if I was on exclusively on the Hangouts on Google, YouTube, I would go to the website. But being that we already got cut off one time on YouTube, on Facebook, can't really go there because I don't know if it's gonna knock off or not. We got to just stick with this right here. Okay. So now that deer, that hind, is talking about the huemul and the South Andean deer. So that's what that prophet is talking about. Okay. That's what it's talking about. And the pudu. Now we're in the Bible. So now if you want to check out the flora and the fauna of Argentina and Chile, you'll see these two deers. A deer that's unique to that part of the world, no place else in the world, number one. And then the world's smallest deer that's unique to that part of the world also. But also it lives in the South Andes too. It can get into the South Andes also. Okay. And this particular deer, the South Andean deer, it doesn't have the straight hair. It has curly hair. It's not like a typical deer hair that's straight. This deer actually has curly hair. Has curly hair. So check that out. This is history and characteristics of the children of Israel. Now, I love this part right here. He giveth goodly words. The largest Spanish-speaking book fair in the world is held in Buenos Aires, Argentina. As you would say in English, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Every year, the world's largest book fair. Millions and millions of people come there. Authors, writers, book enthusiasts, collectors, publishers. Every year, millions and millions of people in Argentina. Every year. When you go to Argentina in Buenos Aires, if anybody's ever been there, there's bookstores on almost every corner. Bookstores on almost every corner in Buenos Aires, Argentina, in South America. Now, goodly words, that's the goodly words. Now, Chile is also called El País de Poetas, which means the country of poets. Okay, that's what they call Chile words. They say he gives goodly words, and they say, oh, it's a country of poets too. You see that? So the Most High, he's showing you who these people are. Why? So we can repent and keep the commandments. So we can repent and keep the commandments. And you can show your people who they are. You can go back home, or you can write home. You can talk to people from other tribes and look, this is how you fit these prophecies, man. You can't deny these things. The spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is making it clear. Research and look it up if you don't believe me. Research and look it up. The largest book fairs, one of the largest fairs, period, definitely one of the largest book fairs every year is called La Feria de Libros. Feria Internacional de Libros or de Literatura. I forget if it's literature or books. Also, giving goodly words. The word Argentina itself is named after a poem, goodly words, that was called La Argentina. La Argentina. So it was named after a poem, man. Goodly words. Argentina named after a poem. Chile, they call Chile the country of poets. El país de poetas. That's what they call themselves. When you look at the Mapuche culture in Argentina and Chile, they have poems and poetry memorized or that they would make for every occasion, for somebody being born, for a marriage, for a divorce, for a death, for building a house, for harvesting, for planting, for picking fruit, okay, for making clothes, for somebody's anniversary, whether it was their birth or a marriage or a memorial of some event, going to war, making times of peace. You see? So that's the goodly words also. The Mapuche culture. Give me a second, and give me a second. I'm gonna show you some of this Mapuche culture of the goodly words that Napatalia gives. Okay, so now these goodly words that Napatalia gives, what are they? All right, get out your pen and paper and get ready to write. Get out your pen and paper and get ready to write, okay? Somebody can type it down too, but somebody get out your pen and paper, take notes. We're going to get into these goodly words. One of the goodly words are that poetry was infused with every level of life. Specialty poems that talked about values, love, war, death, etc. And they had special names for these poems. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can type some of them myself. One was called the you had the Ul poem. All right, you had the Epel, E-P-E-W poem. You had the Welu, W-E-L-U. You had the Welu, you had the Welu Ngutram, E-N-G-U-T-R-A-M, Ngutram. Okay, you have the Ngulam, N-G-U-L-A-M, Ngulam. You have the Wepim, W-E-W-P-I-M. in. Now, these are just a few. Okay. These are just a few. Only a few. Just a little bit of the poetic and oral traditions that we see in Argentina and Chile. Only a few. Only just a little bit, man. All right. So you have the oral tradition that they used to, the poem that they used to do when the so-called white man first came to South America. All right. Ikaram, yeah. Yeah, the Most High's word is good. I understanding it and being able to see these things, man. That's a beautiful blessing from the Most High, man. That all of us can share in. Okay. So now we have now check this out. Hold on to your chair. It was a so-called white man in Chile. Very, very, very famous poet. Very famous poet. Very famous poet. I believe that the name he wrote under was Pedro Neruda. That's the name he wrote under. Pedro Neruda. And I believe he was a Gentile. But all he wrote about was the oppression of our people down there, the indigenous rights. And he was always on the side of the indigenous peoples, and he wrote a lot of poems in that style. And he really had a love for our people down there. All right. But this guy from Chile, all right, that they call Chile País de Poetas, meaning country of poets. Guess what this guy's name is? I'm gonna write his name. This is the name that he was born with. Now, mind you, this guy is a Gentile, but he's living in the land of Naphtali, of the Israelites. And he always writes poems about the experiences and the oppression of Israel. And he didn't really like it. He didn't like it. And he talked against it to his government. And he even got kicked out of Chile for talking up for our people down there. I'm not saying he's a saint, but he didn't have nothing against us. He was pro us. Guess what this guy's name is? I'm gonna type his name and write it. That's his name right there. That's the guy's name right there. That's his first name. Naphtali. And he was a poet from the country of poets, the nickname for Chile. Okay. Now, when you go into the things he wrote, man, he always wrote conditions and the voices of our people down in South America, Argentina, and Chile. Now, in Argentina, as well as in Chile, what do we have? The invaders that came there, man, they were impressed. They were impressed by the oral poetry of the native tribes. And I'm going to write some of these native tribes for you too. Poetry tribes. Right now, you had the Lulules, the Juríes. You had the Diaguitos. Right, Diaguitos. You had the Tonocotes. The Tonocotes. You see that? Diaguitos. Tonocotes. So that's some of the tribes in Argentina that were doing so much poetry that the white man, when he conquered down there, was impressed. So these native traditions, man, of the poetry show how Argentina, Chile, Napatalia, how they give what? Right there. Give it goodly words. Now, if you want to say that, oh, goodly words, oh, that's talking about aloha. Okay. As they used to say on the original AOL, goodbye. So now, the native poet traditions are the foundation of Argentina's literary skills they have today. Buenos Aires, once again, is the host of the largest festival in Latin America, the Buenos Aires International Book Fair. The Feria Internacional de Libros de Buenos Aires every year. So now that is how we see that Argentina and Chile are the tribe of Naphtali. So the Most High gave these small little sentences through the spirit of our father Jacob. And Jacob is letting us know who these people are and where they are. Even today, in 2018, 2019, he's letting us know the secrets are being revealed to us so that we can come back and obey the commandments of Yahweh. So that we can repent and come to Yahushua as the Messiah, as the Savior. That's why these things are being revealed to us. Not so we can say, oh yeah, we know who this tribe is or that tribe is, or to get on Facebook and debate, but so we can dig into the Torah. We can dig into the Torah and study the Torah and be more obedient to Yahweh. Okay? Even when you look at ancient ancient Chile or ancient Naphtali, you still see that deer. Okay? So that's how Naphtali is that deer that was sent, and give the goodly words. Beautiful words. That's the poetry. Okay. Moving on. Let's go to Joseph. Joseph is a fruitful vine by a fountain. That's getting into Puerto Rico and Chile. Puerto Rico and Cuba. How Cuba's been isolated, but they've still been producing. They've still been able to sustain themselves. Even though they only got one fountain to drink from, which is their own resources, the branches run over the wall, meaning sometimes the tribe of Joseph in Cuba specifically, they leave from their homeland to go up to America, running over the wall. So Joseph is a fruitful vine by a fountain. You don't need a fountain when you right by a big old stream and water and you need a fountain when you say you're someplace where you don't have access to a whole bunch of water. So you got this fountain, you get that and save your water and conserve it, you can use it. And now that's how Cuba was treated for over 50 years, isolated, but they still kept being what? Fruitful, new ideas. A car broke down, what they do? They fixed it with parts, old parts. They would what? Make parts. That's why you go into Cuba and you see cars from the 40s, 50s, or 30s that are still running like they're brand new. Because Joseph, Cuba, was a fruitful vine by a fountain. In that isolation, he still had water coming out. He still was able to live and be fruitful by that fountain himself. And when they first conquered Puerto Rico, when they first conquered Puerto Rico, it was producing what? Riches by the waters, by the ayan, by the fountains of the Caribbean, producing riches, producing special wood, producing gems, producing precious metals for the Europeans that raped, robbed, and murdered our people. Now, branches run over the wall too, and that's what's unique about Joseph, which is Cuba and Puerto Rico. They are the only so-called Spanish-speaking tribes that have a free ticket to come to America whenever they want to with no problems from the U.S. government. Because Puerto Rico was a territory, and Cuba, the so-called white man in America, don't like our government in Cuba. So he said, okay, if you leave Cuba and come to me, I'm going to receive you. So he runs over the wall sometimes like that. So that's getting into Joseph. But when he gets into the wall, he's there. He's accepted. The U.S. government accepts him. The archers have dealt bitterly with him and shot at him and hated him. The archers, on the original coat of arms for Puerto Rico, we in verse 23. On the original coat of arms for Puerto Rico, you have what? On the original coat of arms for Puerto Rico, you have a bundle of arrows. Before, listen to this, before they put that in 1776 in America, before America was even founded, they had the arrows together, meaning what? We conquered these people. And when you look at the arrows, they're tied in the form of what? Of harvested grain, just like Joseph's dream. Look it up. Once again, what I'm telling you, look up, research it. That's why I don't really got to go into a bunch of pictures. Research it, look it up. You see what I'm saying is right. I've already done the research, but I can't go back and forth on these pages, unfortunately, because Facebook likes to drop stuff when you move away from your target broadcast spectrum. The computer doesn't like that. So now I'm broadcasting from Google onto Facebook, but I don't want to take any chances. So the archers, arrows, 1500s, they put arrows on the coat of arms. As a matter of fact, not even 1500s, man. In the 1400s, late 14, early 1500s, that's what they put on Puerto Rico's the flag that they had, which at the time was called Saint Juan. The whole island was called San Juan. So the archers have dealt bitterly with him, meaning that when the Spaniards came over there, immediately they put the brothers in Puerto Rico right into slavery. They were selling Ephraimites from Puerto Rico into Spain for about 3 kilos of gold, about $1,700, which is the modern equivalent of, I believe it was like 125, 100 and something pesos, which the peso was like 25 point something grams of silver in one coin called the peso, or Real de Ocho. All right, a piece of 8. That's why on the pirate movies, a piece of 8. That's talking about the silver coins. So they took these silver coins, and you would need $1,700 worth of silver coins to buy one of Joseph's children from Puerto Rico. So the archers have dealt bitterly with him. They were shooting and murdering and killing Joseph and making him be a slave, and shot at him and hated him. so-called white man, how you gonna have a people down there in Puerto Rico and not send nobody, not send nothing, not hardly help do anything when a daggone hurricane just hit us down there? And the so-called government in America hate Puerto Rico. But even more than he hate Puerto Rico, man, he really hates Fidel's people that's running the government in Cuba. Raul. The U.S. government they hate our people because they don't want to fool with America. So they hate them because you don't kiss their behind. Your government ain't being friends with them. They chose Russia over America, and America was mad at that. So they try to isolate Cuba. All right. And then the arrows, the modern day, the biggest arrow they got nowadays is called what? A ballistic missile. Ballistic missile. So when they had the Russian missile crisis, Cuban missile crisis, when Cuba had those missiles and they were pointing in the wrong direction, and the U.S. government said, nah, we're not going to even go there. We're not even going to let you carry out that thought that you have. They had a showdown, man. But his bow abode firm, meaning he was Puerto Rico and Cuba have been able to hold their ground without a whole bunch of extras from America. Without Joseph was totally cut. Cuba was totally cut off from almost everybody in the Western Hemisphere. But yet and still, a Latino, Hispanic, Native American, or a black child could only go to Venezuela or Cuba and get free medical training to be a doctor, obstetrician, neurosurgeon, OBGYN. They could only go to Cuba or to Venezuela to get that free education. And the arms of his hand were made supple, which means skillful in what he's doing. Let's go to another translation of let's go to another translation of verse 24. The arms made were strong. Okay. Now this one, let's see what they say with the Ptida. Okay. His arms are made strong by the hand. Okay, so they all give you the same translation. So Cuba was able to persevere through the so-called white man cutting him off. Nobody else he did this to. Only Joseph. Totally cut him off. His bow abode firm, and the arms of his hands were made supple, strong, firm, workable, pliable, creative. Okay, by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob, from the shepherd of Israel, the stone of Israel. Okay, so they might say Bethlehem, Ephraim. All right, against the stone of Jacob. Now let me go into another book right now in Genesis 49 and 24 to check that out. All right, so because some people link this up to Ephraim, Judah. All right, Ephraim, Bethlehem, in Ephraim's part of Ephraim's territory, Ephrathah. Okay, Ephrathah. Okay, link that up with this prophecy right here. So I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't really go into that part when I was meditating on the word right there. Right, I didn't get into that part of it right there. So I'm going to the next part. All right. Even by the Elohim of his father, who shall help thee by the Almighty. Now check this out. blessing of heaven from above. All right. Blessing of the deep that couches beneath. Almost all the waters in Puerto Rico are fed by underground streams all over the island of Puerto Rico. You won't starve if you plant something in Cuba. It has underground streams all around over there. Blessing of the breast, which means the chest, and of the womb. Blessing of the womb, that's productivity and children at the early stages of the life for Ephraim. All right, the blessing of the Father, the mighty one, beyond the blessing of my progenitors, unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of the prince among his brethren. Pedro Albizu Campos was like a prince among the people that went into the U.S. Capitol in the early part of the 20th century, 1900s, and actually tried to have an armed bomb attack against the U.S. government for what they were doing in Puerto Rico. It used to be bad down in Puerto Rico, man. The so-called white man in America was down there literally just murdering people left and right. Murdering people left and right. So now when we come into these the utmost bounds of the everlasting hills, what is that talking about? That's talking about in Puerto Rico, they have a mountain that's called El Yunque. And the story on El Yunque was that the God lived in El Yunque. And in El Yunque, where the God lived, he sat on a golden throne. He had a golden throne that he sat on, and he would punish his people when they did good. When they did bad, and he would reward them when they did good. If they did bad, he would turn his back on them and would not deal with them, would not bless them. Sounding a lot like the God of Israel, the God of Joseph, don't it? Yeah, it does, just because it's the same power. Okay? And then it talks about El Yunque, in that mountain, in clouds, the golden throne sat the Creator. And he would reward the Puerto Ricans, the Boricua, for the good things that they did, and he would punish them for the bad. All right? So that's the everlasting hills, because he lived in the mountains. Now, this power that lived in the mountains, the Almighty Creator, his name, they said that his name, the name of the Creator, because look, all it's talking about in here. It's talking about the mighty one, right? The shepherd, the God of the fathers, the Almighty, the everlasting hills. So it's going into the kingdom of the Most High. It's talking about the Creator in so many verses, more than any other verse. The Creator, the Creator, the Creator. So we got to look at, what do the Puerto Ricans call the Creator in their history? What did they call the Creator? All right. They called the Creator Yahya. The Creator was called Yahya. Now, of course, they had other entities that were worshipped. Urukan was one of them. Okay. But they have a Creator that was called Yahya. And Yahya sent his son into the world. And his son was called what? The son of Yahya was called Yahya-el. Just like Israel. So the son of Yahya was called Yahya-el. So that's, Yahweh and Israel. Or Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Yahya and Yahya-el. Now, this is Puerto Rican history. Check it out. Once again, we're looking at names. Fruitful. Over the wall, that's the abundance. That's telling you the name. That's telling you the name rich. Puerto Rico. A port of riches, exporting from Puerto Rico. That's the name Puerto Rico right there. All right. Fruitful. The archers have dealt bitterly against them. The archers getting into the Cuban Missile Crisis when they had the missiles pointed, and also the coat of arms for Puerto Rico, the ancient coat of arms. They have what? They have the arrows. that they used to conquer and to murder our people down there. Okay? But Bo abode firm, meaning that even though they were isolated, cut off, and beat down, they still held their ground. Now, it can jump back and forth between Joseph in Cuba and Joseph in Puerto Rico. Because remember, 2 tribes make up Joseph. 2 tribes make up Joseph. All right. Ephraim and Manasseh, Cuba and Puerto Rico. Okay. The arms of his hand were made subtle or strong by the hands of the mighty one of Yahweh. Okay. So his hands were made strong by the Most High, because even though he was cut off, Puerto Rico, or rather Cuba was cut off, they still were producing so things for themselves without the help of so-called white men in America, and a lot of times not even with the help of Russia. Okay. Right. So when you look at these things, a lot of it is dealing with the flora and the fauna of Puerto Rico and of Cuba. A lot of it is not just straightforward. It takes a lot more time than what we have to get into it. All right. To get into it. So y'all still with me? Hope y'all still with me. We're almost finished. Okay. But something's going to happen with Joseph in Puerto Rico, because the shepherd of Israel is going into a leader of Israel. Right? He's going into well, also when you look, let me break this down too. When you talk about the shepherd, when you look on the coat of arms of Puerto Rico, you see what? You see a sheep that's supposed to represent St. John, the baptizer. That, you see the sheep on there. So that's once again going into the coat of arms. And also, Ephraim, a lot of people don't know this, but Puerto Rico is a very heavy cattle producer, especially for milk products. Very heavy. And that industry was almost destroyed by the hurricane that just went through there. It was almost destroyed by that hurricane that just went through there. All right. So we almost finished now. So everybody's been patient. Everybody's been patient. So once again, we're going to come back hopefully and be able to do these verses 25 and 26. Now we went into the hills. All right. The blessing be upon the head of Joseph and on the crown and the head of the prince among his brethren. So once again, what I like to look at this is that they kind of just left Puerto Rico alone. I mean, not Puerto Rico, but Cuba. And also a lot of brothers came from the Canary Islands. All right. And the islands off the coast of Spain during the Spanish Inquisition. came into Cuba seeking refuge, and it was accepted there, and they were allowed to stay there. All right, so we're supposed to go from verse 19 to verse 26, and that's the end. We're at verse 26, so we'll pick up from tomorrow. All right, so the water for attending with us. All praise to Yahweh. Bashem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. All right, so Shalom Ikaran. Shalom Kanyath Hojerio. All right. Shalom Hezekiah Chazakuya. All right, and Shalom cousin Marcus, what's going on with you, man? And Shalom to Sunil. All right, Shalom to you. Jean Fernandez over in India. Shalom to you. Shalom. And Prince Israel, shalom to you too, man. All right, all praise to the Most High. Yonder boy, everybody. Thank everybody for coming on, and joining in to share, in this Torah study of the tribes of Yashat Allah. I know we kind of, you Ephraimites, you really got to dig into that Genesis 49, verse 25 and 26, and give us a more thorough and deep understanding. But a lot of it seems to be talking about production, productivity, and dealing with nature, and dealing with agriculture, livestock, husbandry, the land. Seems to be dealing with a lot of those type of things, but specifically on how they were talking about, we'll go into on another lesson. All right, so you get the basic idea of who the tribes are based on the things that we went over. It's a tribe that we went over that somebody's saying, you know what, I just don't see that, man. I just cannot see that tribe is who you saying it is. And I got another tribe that fits the description better, or I just don't think that this tribe is who you saying it is, Parazah, because it's like you stretching it. I don't see that this tribe is who you say it is. Anybody got anything like that? Okay. The brother Ikaron said everything was pretty much on point. All right. The brother said everything was pretty much on point twice. Okay. He said everything was pretty much on point. Anybody else? Anything else? Okay. Hallelujah. Get off of here now. All right. All praise to Yahweh Bashem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. Appreciate everything. Hallelujah. Shalom. Now remember, before we go, got to tell you about the next new moon and the next holy day. The next new moon is going to be January 5th at night. to January 6th at night, which is Saturday night to Sunday night. You can't work on those days, but you can cook from nightfall to nightfall, from the 5th to the 6th. The next one is going to be on April 18th to April 19th. It's going to be the first day of Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. So you can cook on those days, but you can't work. You can't do any of your own pleasures. All right, April 18th to April 19th. All right, and the last day of Passover, the seventh day, is going to be April 24th to April 25th. That's the last day of Passover. So those are days that you cannot work, but you can cook on the first and last days of Passover. So be ready. If you got anything that you need to do before those days, call off work, shopping, whatever, get it all knocked out. So when it comes, you'll be ready. No excuse. You got so many days in advance right now, and I announce it every day. Right? I announce it every day. So there's really no reason why somebody shouldn't know, if they tuning in to the thing that happens every day about the Sabbath. I mean about the Torah. All right, so much love to all of y'all in the name of Yahweh. B'Shem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. Shalom Lekam.